President John Mahama has reaffirmed government's commitment to providing logistics and training to ensure that the Ghana Police Service is capable of combating crime. President Mahama, who today commissioned a cenotaph as he joined the service to honor 15 departed policemen who died in line of duty, described the fallen men as gallant and patriotic citizens who put service to the country above their lives. On his part, the IGP, John Kudalo, encouraged the families of the departed men to remain strong. Joseph Akable was at the program and joins us on the phone with some updates. Joseph, what can you report on this? Hello, Joseph.
Hello, Beatrice.
Great. What can you tell us about this today's ceremony?
It's been quite a solemn occasion, I must say. It is very calm when the police officers are not looking so happy. Program here, the president, while speaking, he spoke fondly and quite exalted at the performance of the police service. He talked about the fact that these are men who have decided to put the nation's interest above their lives and sometimes risking their line of duty. He talked about the fact that they go a long way to ensure that the country becomes that stable, peace and secure country that a lot of people tout Ghana to be that country. For instance, as a result of the good work of the police service, and that is why he as president, and he talked about the fact that government, in fact, remains committed to ensure that they provide the necessary statistics to make the service one that is capable of combating crime, not just within the country, but even in times of need when the officers are supposed to serve in other parts of the world also, they also be able to demonstrate that stellar performance they put up in the country. On the part of the IGP, he talked about the fact that today these 15 officers whom we are talking about have to be put in the spotlight. He says it wasn't a desire on their part to be in the spotlight, but it's because of being patriotic that it earned that accolade. He said it was important for the families to remain very strong in such time and know that their departed will never be forgotten for their service to Madagascar.
Joseph, let's go back to the president. He said that some logistics that they need to ensure that they do their work effectively. Did he talk about what he has identified or he's been told the police need to make their work more efficient?
He talked about the fact that it is a continuous process they've been engaging in. In fact, even in terms of human resource development, he mentioned that in terms of recruitment to the security service as a whole, they always ensure that they give the police that leeway to recruit more personnel to meet its target in terms of the human resource personnel. He also talked about vehicles being provided for patrol, among other ammunition and other things that the police service needs to combat crime. That all those things are being provided because government deems it very necessary and quite important for the service to be provided all these things to ensure that they are ready to deliver on their mandate.
Thank you very much, Joseph Akable. Let's move on to other stories. And President-elect, right, we can go to another story and the pain of losing a close one, especially when we are getting closer to the end of the year, can be unbearable. But that is what some family members who lost their relatives in Tuesday's crash that killed 5 people on the Accra-Cape Coast Road are confronted with. The reality of entering the new year without their loved ones and Joy News' Maxwell captured the sad moments at the Winneba Municipal Hospital and the disrespect for traffic regulations by some drivers on the Accra-Cape Coast Road.
Millicent Bekwe has just arrived at the Winneba Municipal Hospital. She came all the way from Accra in search of her husband who is a victim of the gory accident. Her anxiety builds her because she does not know the fate of her husband.
I came from Accra. I heard the information around 2 p.m. He is my husband. I called his phone, but his phone was off. I don't know whether he's still alive. I'm now going to find out. But I serve a living God, and I know he will be saved.
It's unclear whether or not Millicent found her better half. But she's not the only one in search of a loved one. This man in his late 20s cannot control his emotions. After frantic calls to his friend Rosemond Opoku, the Winneba police answered and gave him information about her death.
I am from Circle. We spoke several times this morning. I called her again. She did not answer. The police answered later and told me she has been involved in an accident. I was informed she was brought to this hospital. She's dead. I am from Circle. We spoke several times this morning. I called her again. She did not answer. The police answered later and told me she has been involved in an accident. I was informed she was brought to this hospital. She is dead.
I came from Circle. We spoke several times this morning. I called her again. She did not answer. The police answered later and told me she has been involved in an accident. I was informed she was brought to this hospital. She's dead. We were some few meters away from the pump junction. The front tire burst. The driver lost control of the vehicle. It somersaulted for about 3 times. We're all screaming in the car. When I regained consciousness, my leg was trapped under the car. Some people died on the spot. There was another gentleman who was close to my bed. He just died.
We are about 100 meters away from the accident scene here on the Accra-Winneba Road. This signage here reminds motorists of how 32 people died on this same stretch of road. But it looks like this signage is not deterrent enough, as some motorists overtake each other with impunity.
At the time of our visit, 5 people had died out of the ghastly accident, with several others injured. Back at the scene of the accident, the Sprinter vehicle had been towed away. There were still debris of car parts at the scene. Some gloves that were used in carrying some of the victims were still there. There were biscuits and other items strewn all over the road at a spot not too far from the Winneba roundabout. But there is a worrying trend on this stretch, the wanton disregard for road signs. On the Accra Cape Coast Road, there are numerous signs warning motorists of deadly accident spots. But what we observe is many drivers ignore them as they dangerously overtake each other. This faulty gas tanker had been left on the side of the road without a reflective triangle sign. This other faulty taxi, also very close to it, had its warning sign on top of it, contrary to the 45-meter space required to inform approaching vehicles. With Accra Cape Coast stretch poorly lit and visibility reduced by the fog created by the Harmattan, the danger of running into these faulty vehicles is not remote.
Harmattan has set in Accra. This is a time where many people choose to abandon their permits and use shea butter due to the extreme dryness of the weather. So I went to the Nima market to find out how sales have been for the sellers and whether or not they have increased the price of the permit, usually called inkuto in the Ghanaian local dialect. The Harmattan season again, and a lot of people are trying to find remedies, and one main permit that is able to fight this particular weather and the conditions associated with it is shea butter, popularly known as inkuto in our local dialect. And I'm at the Nima market here, where a number of shea butter sellers are around. This should probably be one of their peak seasons where they get a lot of sales. And so I'm here, there's a woman here, and you can see the shea butter, popularly known as inkuto. I'll refer to it as inkuto most part of this conversation. And the seller is here, Afishiapa. And that's just basically saying Merry Christmas, and then she responded, what's your name? So she's saying that she's had increased sales because of the weather. A lot of people are coming in to buy. So if at first you were selling, let's say, 100 Ghana cedis of shea butter a day, how much are you selling now?
Don't you say 2 million and now 3 million?
So she's actually had more than 100% increase in her sales. She used to sell like 100 Ghana cedis previously, but now she can sell as much as 200 Ghana cedis and 300 Ghana cedis. I've walked into the market. There's another woman here with lots of the shea butter that she's making ready to sell. So I've seen that you are having a lot of the shea butter here. Is it because you've had increased sales? A lot of people are buying.
Yes.
So will you be able to sell all of this?
Maybe. At times, maybe.
Okay, so she's saying that she can managed to sell all of it, but is it other times she's not able to sell? But are you sure that you can sell all of it, especially because of the weather? Are you sure, so she's saying yes, it could get finished because of the weather.
A day, 1.2. That's
120 Ghana cedi. You used to sell as much as 120 cedis, but now how much are you able to sell?
200, 300.
But you haven't increased the price?
No.
Why? Okay, so they've reduced the size there, but you sell it the same price to customers. Okay. It seems that shea butter sellers are making a lot of money because of the weather. People are coming in to buy, obviously, to solve a lot of challenges that come with this weather. My name is Pichu Sedu for Joy News. Now, let's do some maths here. Hamatan plus inauguration equals X. Find X. That's an obvious question you could extract from British High Commissioner to Ghana, John Benjamin's tweet about the sudden change in weather. He wrote on Twitter, "Oh, that nasty air outside all of a sudden. Did someone inaugurate the Hamatan already?" That post seems to be generating a storm on Twitter as it's got lots of people talking. My colleague Gary Smith joins me in the studio with some of the comments in there. Gary, give us some of the comments that people have been tweeting so far.
Well, since it's happened yesterday and I saw it last night. Now, the background to the story is that John Benjamin, you know, he's very active on social media. He's very active in national affairs even. It seems that a lot of people were unhappy this time around about how he seems to have been taking a dig at the president, John Dramani Mahama. I mean, we all know that, you know, Ghanaians have been making jokes about the inauguration culture. Sure. Some were calling him Commissioner General and so on and so forth. But people felt that it was a step too far for a diplomat to be able to be doing this and seemingly to be taking a dig. Some even felt that it was insulting to the state of Ghana as well.
I've seen some posts on Facebook and they are not kind at all.
Yes.
They are not kind at all. But what are some of those ones you've seen that you could read out to us?
Okay, so, well, a couple of the comments. Let me see. Anane Ata Upon says, "We all know the truth doesn't change irrespective of who you are. We are known for our actions, but you as a British do not have the right to do same as well." So that's one of the moods that is being expressed. Darlington says, "John Benjamin should be careful next time some jokes are expensive." Samuel Kojo says, "John is representing the whole of the United Kingdom. By inference, is the UK also making fun of our president?" So,
Gary, I know you've already had a fight with John Benjamin on that. Tell us the back and forth about what...
Well, it wasn't a fight. Well, we have some history. John and I have some history on social media. A couple of months ago, we had what you can say was banter about something separate. So when this happened, I just made a point to say that, John, I tweeted at him and I said, "John, High Commissioner, this is what I've been telling you all the time. Nobody has a problem with, you know, you partaking in, but you should just know where the limit is. And some of these things are unstatesmanlike, and it's not like that." And for those of you who know about John Benjamin, and like I said on GNI about...
He talks about everything.
He talks about everything.
Everything in the country.
He was an ambassador for the UK in Chile. You know, he was essentially booted out of the country because he tweeted about the Falklands War. And you know the Falklands War is a very testy issue between the UK and Argentina. The Argentines reported to the Home Office, and he was forced to say that he tweeted in a private capacity, you know, and so on and so forth. And sometimes there's nothing wrong with it, but diplomats across the divide. Yesterday, when this happened, we were at a function later in the evening. There were a couple of diplomats there from other countries, and they were saying that, I mean, as a diplomat, you have to be seen and not heard.
All right, so you talked about what you told him. I'm interested in what his response was.
He said that he didn't mean to insult President Mahama or anything like that, but he has a lot of respect for President Mahama as well.
So, Gary, I think there's some more here. We can talk about them. I would read some, then you can help us with the rest. So, Al Hassan says, "Oh, not. If social media is saying it and it didn't happen, forget all. They are only saying it."
Julius Afedi says, "LOL, I cannot stop laughing. Oh, Mahama. In fact, He did not mention any names. He's talking about John Benjamin. However,
Yes.
I wouldn't be surprised if the Commissioner General did commission the Hamatan too.
And Abigail says, when you Ghanaians tag Mugabe in senseless post, you are happy. But when same happens to John 3:16 on Napo, dear, you are angry.
Very interesting. Black Shea says, this man mocks men of God in GH and no one questions him. He mocks our president, then you bore. What goes round surely comes. What goes round surely goes round. Yeah.
So there are more comments. Yesterday, for instance, I saw one about, oh, I just realized that the Hamatan is in. Did somebody commission overnight with that?
Yeah, you know, so some of the comments that are being made are well within range, that Ghanaians are making those comments. But the thing is that when you're a diplomat, you can not partake in the jokes that Ghanaians make. As a Ghanaian, I can say certain things about my president. But if you are a diplomat from another country, you are representing that country. It is not in your place to make jokes about that. So I told John also on Twitter that the equivalent is me being Ghanaian ambassador to the UK and calling Queen Elizabeth nicknames on Twitter. It's just not on. A British person can do that, and you are well within your right because you are a citizen. You understand? You are all equal under the law. But it is absolutely wrong. And it actually infringes on our sovereignty. And like both of us have seen, a lot of people are angry. So we are waiting to see what he will say next, whether he's going to apologize or he will just say he said that in his personal capacity, like he said in Chile. He's not going to say that. All right, thank you very much, Gary Osby, for joining us in the studio. You're still watching News Today on Joy News. When we come back, we'll bring you the latest in the world of business. Don't go away.